Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. Monthly Report. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
We want to welcome everyone back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline, Indiana Monthly Report. As you know, last week we had a great show on with Pastor Melinde from Uganda. He's back again this week. We have a part 1 and part 2. But first of all, we want to talk about the National Federation of the Blind free service newsline for the blind, the visually impaired, those that have certain forms of dyslexia. The deaf-blind community can now access this free service. So there's a lot of information, and we do have a lot of news services coming on board all the time. Individuals are just calling and talking about how they like reading the USA Today and the Wall Street journals and all the Times, Associated Presses, the weather alerts, and just a plethora of information. So Florence, would you mind sharing with them how they can access this information, the different devices that we use?
Oh, certainly can. There's various ways to access this service. I personally use my iPhone. So you can access it with your mobile phone, your landline phone, computer, Victor Reader Stream, and the digital recorder from the Library of Congress. I didn't want to leave anything out. I think I said the Victor Stream Reader.
The computer and all of that
Yes.
good stuff out there that everyone is using to access information. And we do know that our students, they love to use it for the current events, to keep up on current events. They can also put in a search phrase and search out information. So it's a great service, a great tool. Seniors love to use it. Oftentimes, the most read section of the newspaper is the obituaries. And most seniors tell me they want to read it because they want to make sure they're not in there. So I understand that. So we share a lot of information through this free service. We also want to thank the Talking Book and Braille Library for being our state sponsor of this service, which is given through the National Federation of the Blind. So we're going to come right back with our second portion of our interview with our Pastor Melinde. We'll be right back.
I just graduated college as a blind student. How can I independently find job listings?
Thanks to the National Federation of the Blind, visually impaired Hoosiers can hear newspapers, circulars, and magazines from across the globe.
It is a fantastic service.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
Thousands of Indiana residents feel isolated from the world due to vision problems. Thanks to the National Federation of the Blind, visually impaired Hoosiers can hear newspapers, circulars, and magazines from across the globe.
I'm a Vietnam veteran. I'm blind. I read Stars and Stripes on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline. Once again, I want to thank our guests for coming here today. It is such a blessing to be, and an honor to be in this man of God's presence. he's overcome so much. And if you watched the first segment with Pastor Melinde, this God-fearing man has been through persecution like I've never heard of, met anyone before that has been through such persecution, and still standing strong in his Christian faith. And Pastor, welcome to the show again for this segment.
It's my pleasure to be here again, and very happy to see you again.
And I want to thank you for the prayer that you shared with us, the prayer that you gave us here, because during the last segment, it really does move me.
Yes.
And if our listening audience and viewing audience, if it doesn't move you to understand the real reality of what it takes to be a Christian, then you might want to re-examine yourself and your situation, because there are people being persecuted probably as we even speak right now, just because of what they believe. So let's start back up again where we left off at.
Yeah, I was talking about the many times I have survived assassination and persecution. And I said this is not only me, but a number of people are being persecuted. For instance, in our church is in Kampala, Uganda, and 35% of my church members are ex-Muslims. But what we find is that when people convert, some people get excommunicated from their families. Women, they get forcefully divorced. Some of these women, they have children. So that means they will have nowhere to sleep. They have been chased away from their families by husbands who are now calling them murtad. Murtad is an Arabic word meaning that they have deserted Islam. Others are being hunted by their own family members to be harmed. Children who try to convert, the parents refuse to pay their school fees. And we find ourselves that besides preaching in the church, we need to have a place that will be safe for these persecuted members of the church. Because if somebody is being hunted to be killed, you cannot just put him in a public place. You need to hide this person. So besides the church, which is Gospel Life Church International, that's for everybody. But we have a rehabilitation center where we take these people for safety, and where those who have children, we don't only accommodate them. Adults will give accommodation, and we try to help with matters of litigation, because in international law, some of these countries, even though people are persecuting others for religion, they are signatories on United Nations Charter of Human Rights and Religious Freedoms. So some of these countries signed, and even my country is a signatory to this Human Rights Charter that allows people to practice religion in a way they want. So what we do, we try to get litigation to advocate for the rights of these people. And not only that, we accommodate these people. But if the threat is high, we cannot put them in public. We put them into a hidden place for their safety. And for the children, you cannot just put them there for only sleeping and eating. They need education. So we find ourselves educating these people. And for those who lost their vision when they were attacked, so we have victims of that kind. Now this is a person whereby we need to find a sustainability environment for this person. How will this person live? But again, this person cannot see, and we don't have much of the provisions and benefits like governments in Africa. They don't have benefits like you see benefits in America, that the government will take care of this. Some of the programs you're talking about here, how I wish you can extend them to Africa, because most of our people, they lost their vision. We get attacked, and acid is put in our faces and eyes. You know, the moment acid touches the eye, it's liquid. But when acid touches the eye will pop off and burst and fall away. So we find that most of these people, they can now see. They have become, you know, they need some assistance. But we find that some programs of this kind, we don't have them there. So in that kind of circumstance, we want to thank God that even though life is so, you know, challenging like that, we are not losing hope. We still have hope in God. And we still encourage ourselves in the Word of God. And we still love, you know, besides of what happened to me, you know, how I wish maybe I'll try to you can show some of the video, the pictures of what happened to me, you know. Mm-hmm. I was not born like this, for those who can see me. I always tell people, when I was young, people could look at me and they say, "You're a very handsome man." And I tell people, it's not joking, but I was one of the typical beautiful black African man. My face, you know, whenever people looked at me, they were saying, you know, you're handsome. But now my face was disfigured because of my faith. And the people who did this to me, they said they're doing it in the name of their faith. And so it's painful, but one thing that is so significant is that I don't hold a grudge against people who did this to me. I don't want to retaliate. I don't feel like, you know, I need to revenge. The first thing I did is to forgive them. I said, Lord, give me strength to forgive them. So even though I was attacked in this kind of environment, and I have undergone complicated reconstruction surgeries, life-saving surgeries, many of them, more than 10, on the face. At one time, my whole face became a wound. You know, if you have a wound on the leg, that is something else. A wound on the arm, but a wound on the face, when the whole face becomes a wound. And not a wound for a week or a month, but a wound for more than a year. At one time, this face of mine, you know, the whole skin, for those who can see from here, all around, up to here, was removed. I had no skin from here up to here. So all around, they had to remove it and throw it away, because if they leave it, they said acid had eaten it, and acid was penetrating and was going to eat the bones, to dissolve the bones.
Now, for my listeners that can't quite decipher what you just described, can you just tell me, as a blind citizen, when you say from here to here, is it like from the chin to the forehead?
From my one side on the right chin, all around to the left, all up to half of my head, that all skin had to be removed. That means almost 65 of my face skin had to be cut and removed and throw it away. So this is a painful experience that I never imagined in life. And, seeing myself in a mirror, I hated seeing myself, and then after some time, I became blind. I could not see. My eyes were greatly affected. And, all this happening to you in a course of few days, it's so traumatizing. But I am glad, that's what I'm saying, regardless of the pain that I've undergone, I'm glad that I don't hold a grudge and I don't hate those people. I continue to love. I continue to do what I was supposed to do. I continue to preach in love.
To love and to overcome such terrorist act and on an individual's person. We'll be right back here on WHMB 40, the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Monthly Report. Stay tuned.
I am a blind vendor, and one of the things that I truly miss is reading Vending Times magazine.
Hoosiers can hear Indiana magazines, circulars, national magazines, and information from across the globe. Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
It is a fantastic service.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
Wow, I scored a touchdown when I found sports on NFB Newsline.
I enjoy reading TV guide listings on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind. We read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Thank you for joining us again. I am feeling so filled with our guest, Umar Malinde, Pastor Umar Malinde. I got that right.
Yeah, you get it right. You get it right.
So he has a book out, and another book is, that we have with him today. And let's show that book, Florence.
Okay, and I have that book, and it's called Conversion from Islam.
So let's talk about your book and your website. Can you give your website, and also that website will be scrolled across the screen. So you want to give that website out, Pastor?
Yeah, as my name is Umar Malinde. The website is Pastor Umar Malinde. Umar Malinde is U-M-A-R, and Malinde is M-U-L-I-N-D-E, so it's umarmalinde.com, pastorumarmalinde.com. So people can order the books, and you can see more of the videos, interviews, and messages that I preach around the world as I carry this important testimony and a message of awakening to American communities, and also those who would like to host me into their churches, communities. I'm available. You can contact me via the website, or you can call me on 661-714-6540.
So you have that contact information. And how can we, if someone wanted to donate to the cause, you can use that same information, correct?
Yes, if somebody wants to donate, can go to the website And up there on the line, you will click and see the line. There is a donate button and can donate to us. And this is a right cause, supporting the Church of Persecuted People and the Rehabilitation Center that taking care of persecuted believers and education for vulnerable children of the persecuted members.
Now, you established the Gospel Life Church International in 2005.
Yes.
Okay, and right now, how many members do you have?
Right now, we have 1,800 members. And Gospel Life Church International, we began in 2005 with 3 members, me, my wife, and a new convert. We were 3 members, and through the preaching of the gospel, many have joined, and there is a group of ministers, and we have a network of other churches we are working with.
Wow.
Yes.
So there was, off air, we were talking a little bit about Paul. Florence, you want to share a little bit of that?
Yes, of course. You know, a lot of times people think that it was just with biblical days that people were persecuted for their beliefs and persecuted for being a Christian. You know, it brings to mind Paul when he persecuted Christians. And as one lady put it, he was basically just straight, you know, it was just, he was a murderer. That's what he did. He thought he was doing God's service, and anybody professing Christ was killed. And he had a revelation one day when God came to him. Jesus spoke to him. It says as a light. He was blinded. And he was told that basically what you're doing is not right. And, you know, it's just that, you know, when you think of these things going on, a lot of people just don't know the things that people go through in the name of Christ, just professing Christ as who he is.
And just like a pastor, Melinda has been going through. I mean, you know, you have a wife,
Yes.
you have a congregation,
Yes.
and you have forgiveness.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, you lost a great portion of your sight.
Yes.
And I sometimes hear people whining and crying and belly aching about our losses, you know, with particularly like I can say in our blindness,
Yeah.
you know, or a loss of a limb, or a loss of, you know, but certainly it is a loss, but you're still under the covenant of God,
Amen.
you know. And some people, I hope you can grab some inspiration, you know, from Pastor. And I hope that we can donate to this cause, because right now, as we're speaking on the show, as we're here, as you're sitting in your living room, someone is being persecuted. Someone is trying to overcome the fear of being terrorized just because of their belief. You know, I mean, we are a country of people that have many means, and I trust that we use some of those means to help in the situation. So we're going to take a short pause and, you know, look at the screen, gather the information, and donate. We'll be right back.
With my failing eyesight, I'm not able to read regular newspapers, and I'm not able to keep up with obituaries.
I've been a homemaker all of my life, but since my vision has failed, I wish I could read my favorite magazines.
Have you heard of the NFB Newsline?
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
The National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
I want to thank you once again, Pastor Umar Molinde.
Thank you too.
And through your travels, we know that you visit the United States from time to time.
Yes.
And individuals can follow you through the website.
Yes.
And we also want them to have access to your books.
Yes.
So let's give us some information about your books again. What are they?
The book, As the Survivor, contains very powerful testimonies of how I survived 12 assassination attempts.
Mm-hmm.
And my conversion from Islam is a book sharing my testimony of how I converted. And they are very powerful books for every believer to read and every person who needs peace and understanding. You can order them on my website. My website is pastorumarmolinde.com. At the same time, I don't live in the United States. I just visit, but a congregation, a college, or any group can invite me to speak, to share this testimony. Here, I have shared a summary, but on the website, you can get more details. And when you invite me in your congregation, I can share more. In your congregation, if you want to invite me or anywhere for sharing or to order my books, go to the website, and you can also call me on 661-714-6540. I will appreciate, and it has been my pleasure to be here today. The Word of God says, what can separate us from the love of Jesus Christ? Shall be tribulation, persecution, and he said, nothing shall separate us from the love of Jesus Christ. I'm saying, regardless of the circumstance, people continue to love the Lord. And those who are not believers, please try to believe Jesus, because if I was not a believer, I could have thought of committing suicide. But because of being a believer, I clinged unto Jesus, and I have hope, and I'm helping other people to stand their trials.
The National Federation of the Blind Indiana Monthly Report. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.